If you retire with $3 million, you face two risks. The first one's pretty obvious: market downturns, inflation, healthcare costs. But the second risk, nobody talks about it. And it's the one that can drain your nest egg faster than any bear market could over a 25-year retirement. It's the ask. Because here's what happens the moment people believe that you have plenty. Your money stops being yours in their minds, becomes a shared resource. And once that perception takes hold, you're not just managing a portfolio anymore. You're managing expectations, requests, and relationships that could put six figures at risk before you even realize what's happening. So let me be direct. Your biggest retirement risk isn't volatility, it's disclosure. Now, I'm not saying you need to lie to people or pretend that you're broke, but there is a massive difference between financial transparency with the right people, like your spouse, your attorney, your executor, or your financial advisor, and broadcasting your net worth to your extended circle. Because $3 million isn't just a number. It's kind of like a social signal. And the problem is this: people don't hear $3 million and think 30-year inflation adjusted withdrawal plan with healthcare contingencies. They just hear spare money. They hear safety net. They hear this person might be able to help me. And that gap between what you know your money needs to do and what others assume it can do is where the danger lives. So let's start with why $3 million specifically changes the game. According to the Congressional Budget Office data, $3 million puts you right at the threshold of the top 10% of US family wealth. The 51st through 90th percentile, what most of us would call kind of comfortable middle class to upper middle class, that group tops out at about $2.9 million. So when you cross the $3 million threshold, you're not just doing okay. In most people's minds, you're rich. You're in rare air. And here's the thing about rare air. People treat it like spare air. That perception gap is everything because you know the math. You know that $3 million invested conservatively at a 4 to 6% withdrawal rate gives you a minimum of $120,000 a year before taxes. You know that Fidelity estimates a 65-year-old couple retiring in 2025 could spend $172,500 just on healthcare and medical expenses over their retirement. And that doesn't even include a potential long-term care event. You know that Social Security actuary tables show that you could easily be living off of this money for 25 to 30 years, maybe even longer. You're thinking of inflation, sequence of returns risk, increasing taxes, required minimum distributions, Medicare IRMA thresholds, and they might be thinking they've got $3 million. They're set. And that's the disconnect that turns a simple question, hey, can you help me out with this, into a pattern that compounds over decades. Because here's what no one really warns you about. The ask escalates. It doesn't start with, can you co-sign on my mortgage? It starts very small. Hey, you mind picking up dinner tonight? Then it's, can you cover me for this car repair? I'll pay you back. Then it's, hey, you might need a quick bridge loan. Or maybe it's, can you help me with a down payment? And then it's, hey, you should invest in my business idea. And then it's, let's co-sign on this thing together. Each step kind of feels reasonable in isolation, but together they kind of form a ladder. And once someone takes that first rung, the climb can be quite predictable. Now, you might be thinking, Sean, you're totally off base here. My family and friends wouldn't do that. We don't have those kind of dynamics. And I can understand that. And honestly, I would be in the same boat. But here's the data. AARP research shows that nearly 3/4 of parents already provide some sort of financial help to their adult children. 32% of midlife adults give regular financial support to their parents in the past year. Now, 42% expect to provide that support into the future. So let me be clear. Disclosure doesn't create family financial needs. Those needs are probably going to exist whether you have $3 million or $300,000. What disclosure does is it relabels you as the easiest solution. If helping family is already the norm, telling people you have $3 million just changes one thing. Who's going to get asked first? And who gets asked most often? And who should feel the guiltiest when they say no? Now, most of this so far has been around awkward family dynamics and boundary issues. But there is a darker layer that we should address: elder financial exploitation. And I'm not talking about the stereotypical scammer calling from a fake IRS number. I'm talking about proximity and access. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau analyzed suspicious activity reports from banks and found over 180,000 reports tied to older adults' financial exploitation since 2013, involving more than $6 billion. And when they categorized the perpetrators, the list included scammers, yes, but it also included family members, caregivers, and others with access. Congressional Research Service report on elder abuse explicitly describes financial exploitation as one of the most common forms of elder abuse and highlights susceptibility factors like reliance on caregivers and family members. So, unfortunately, there is an uncomfortable truth here. The more people who know the extent of your wealth, the more people who might feel entitled to influence it, or even worse, access it. So, this isn't about just being paranoid. It's about trying to be realistic. When you're 72 and your adult children are struggling financially, and they know that you're sitting on $3 million or more and have access to your accounts because it was just the easy or right thing to do in your mind, that's not necessarily a theoretical risk. Privacy isn't secrecy. It's risk management, especially if it's done correctly. Now, not all family dynamics are going to worry you. And that's good because you should be able to trust your family and do it in a right way. But let's talk about the external threat that scales with perceived wealth, and that's going to be scams. The FTC reported that older adults' fraud losses in 2024 were driven heavily by large losses, often $100,000 or more, commonly tied to investment scams, romance scams, and impersonation fraud. People aged 60 and up lost roughly $2.4 billion in scams in 2024 alone, which is just a devastating number to hear. Now, here's the connection to disclosure, right? Once your social circle knows that you have $3 million or more, you become two things simultaneously. One is going to be a better target for scammers who can do thorough research for their victims or on their victims. And two, more likely to be introduced to opportunities through friends and family's networks. My guy can get you 12% guaranteed. Or I have this investment club and I think you would be perfect. Or my neighbor's son-in-law does private investments. You should give him a call. The market doesn't cold call you. Humans do, right? And when those humans believe that you're sitting on serious money, the opportunities can multiply for you. Some are great opportunities that you should capitalize on. Some are well-intentioned but terrible ideas. And others are just sophisticated fraud. But all of them can put your retirement at risk if not properly reviewed and vetted. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room because some of you might be thinking, this sounds paranoid. This sounds stingy. What about generosity, Sean? What about family? And I hear you. Here's the ethical backbone that makes this framework work. $3 million is not unlimited. Spread across decades through inflation, taxes, healthcare, higher spending than originally anticipated. It's a finite resource that has a very specific job to fund your retirement so that you can stay independent and never have to become a burden on the people that you love. And here's the truth. Protecting that job doesn't make you less generous. It just makes your generosity sustainable. You can ask anyone. I'm a huge proponent of gifting while you're alive and showing up for your friends and family. But you want to do it from a place of financial clarity and not social pressure. The goal is to be proactive, not reactive, and to give in a way that genuinely lifts people up without quietly turning them dependent on you. So 2 solid ways to gift responsibly. First, to set a generosity budget with very clear rules. Decide in advance what you can give each year, an amount that fits within your plan after your retirement needs are covered. Put it in writing for yourself. Who's it going to be for? What's it for? And when are you going to say yes? And if it helps, you can treat it like a line item budget. Once it's spent, it's spent. No guilt, no scrambling, no resentment. So the result is that you get to give freely because you're giving from a place of strength and clarity. And the nice part is when you have people reach out and say, hey, I have this charity. Would you like to make a donation? You can lean back on the fact that your financial team has already identified and line item your expenses and your charitable gifting for the year, and that you'd be happy to revisit it the following year when they can build it into the plan. Now, the second is to make your gifts purpose-driven and empowering and not just open-ended. Instead of whenever you need something, give me a call, choose gifts that create stability or momentum for people. Things like funding education or credentials, paying for therapy or coaching, matching savings towards an emergency fund, or maybe helping with a first home down payment within a reasonable cap. Or maybe you're covering specific just one-time expenses that are really going to improve someone's life. The key is to tie the gift to a plan and a finish line. And so you're going to be helping people move forward and not creating a permanent safety net that's going to actually pull them and yourself back. So now you know why guarding your wealth can actually protect your retirement plan and make you more generous over the long term. But here's what most retirees with $3 million don't realize. If you retire early, say at 62, healthcare becomes one of your biggest planning challenges until Medicare kicks in at age 65. I highly recommend you click this next video where almost 200,000 people watch me break down how early retirees with $2 million saved can keep their healthcare costs under $1,000 a month using a 3-bucket strategy most financial advisors never talk about. So click it and I'll see you in the next video.